On the hot seat, introduce him if you will.
Okay, first up tonight, Wally, we have Bob Gauthier, who is for one of the most ridiculous things that I can think of, one of the most asinine things. He is for AIDS education in our public schools.
Now listen, first of all, Bob, I can't believe that you are supporting this new movement around the country to have AIDS education classes in our public schools. I mean, we have enough of this. We have sex education classes. Now they're passing out birth control pills and all kinds of birth control devices. Pretty soon all they'll be teaching in our schools is about sex. Why in the world should we have classes on AIDS in our public school? Isn't that sick? Yeah! Now, why are you in favor of these? Don't call me Wallace, you little...
Look at the facts.
Just watch what you call me, you little wimp. Is he a wimp? How could you be in favor of AIDS education classes in our school? Why do we have to be taught about AIDS?
Children today are very questionable about the society they live in. They want to know. It's not like back in the 20s when you were in school.
Oh.
People now... Children today are very curious. Children today are very curious about the world in which they live, and if you can educate them, if you can educate them to get them out of the high-risk groups, homosexuals and intravenous drug abusers, then you may be able to eliminate some of the AIDS cases.
Hey, well, wait a minute. You say they're curious. Should we also have classes on homosexuality? Should we have that?
Prevent it, yes.
Should we have classes on bestiality, too?
If you get turned on by that, why not?
You don't have those kind of classes in public schools. School is not to be taught about things like AIDS. You are to be taught how to learn to get somewhere in this country.
Wally, there is a country, and there are several countries, in fact, that regulate what's taught in schools. One of them is the Soviet Union. Are you a closet communist?
Closet, don't you? Let me tell you, there is a time and a place for everything. The public school classroom is not the place to have classes graphically describing AIDS. That is absolutely sickening. Why should they have that?
They have it for cancer, and they have it for a lot of other diseases.
They don't have classes on cancer in the public schools.
You ever been to University of California?
I'm talking about in the high schools.
Why don't you specify, Wally?
Okay, high schools.
Okay, they have sex education in high schools, right?
They shouldn't have. They do, yeah.
Well, why not? I mean, everybody's doing it. Why not have it?
You see,
if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right, Wally.
You see, there is no need to have classes in public school for this despicable disease called AIDS. We know...
How are you going to get people out of high-risk groups to prevent them from trying these voyeurisms?
We know what causes AIDS. Primarily, it is homosexuality. Isn't that right? You see, we don't have to have classes for that. Everybody knows what causes AIDS. The
National Institute of Health doesn't know what causes it. They know what the high-risk groups are, but they have absolutely no idea what the cause of the cure for the disease is.
Then we can't teach it.
So why don't you teach about staying out of high-risk groups? What's wrong with that? Or would you rather have a whole society full of homosexuals and intravenous drug abusers? Where do you stand on this, Wally?
You don't have classes about this. It's so stupid.
What's wrong with teaching, educating people on any subject they choose?
Because that isn't what a public school is all about.
Ignorance is not bliss, Wally. Ignorance is not bliss.
Hey, he should know he's the most ignorant person I've had on the show ever.
My education education is not the point here, Wally. As a matter of fact, I'm sure that I'm sure that I'm quite educated and could more than stand my ground against you in any debate.
Sure. You mean when a kid comes into school, you shouldn't say, here, we teach this subject and that subject and history and so forth. What would you like to learn? What class would you like to take? We'll teach you anything you want to know. Is that the way it ought to be?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
You see,
it would be a marvelous school system.
You don't have to have class. All they have to do about AIDS, if they want to have people know about it, then all they got to do is print up some little pamphlets and pass them out. Isn't that a lot simpler?
Not a bad suggestion. I might go along with that suggestion.
So then why have a class on it?
To allow the students and to allow our children in school to be more curious about the world in which they live.
You know, what the whole thing is, it is very obvious to everybody who is talking about this AIDS epidemic that the main people behind this are the gays.
Wally, you are irresponsible, you're immature. This attitude